Imagine a domestic maid working in Bangladesh, preparing a meal and asking her employer's child what he wants to eat. She will likely ask him using formal Bengali phrasing. Question. The phrasing she uses at home is blunt and informal. Ki khabi tui? The semantic meaning is identical across both questions, the syntactic structure, however, completely mutated. The catalyst for this mutation is the perceived social status of the child being addressed. This unconscious daily interaction proves that language acts as a highly sensitive barometer of social hierarchy. In 1959, linguist Charles Ferguson established a formal concept for this phenomenon, diglossia. Diglossia is the strict coexistence of a high-standard variety and a low vernacular variety within the exact same speech community. To bridge the gap between linguistics and economics, we have to apply the theoretical framework of French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu. Bourdieu's premise is that language operates as a literal economy, not a neutral communicative tool. We will analyze how phonetic and syntactic choices operate as symbolic capital, using the sociological landscape of Bangladesh as our primary laboratory. In a diglossic society, grammar rules are actually economic rules, dictating who holds societal power. Bourdieu's core concept is symbolic capital. Raw, tangible economic wealth is laundered into acceptable social traits to legitimize class divides. That cultural capital converts directly into linguistic capital, represented by the mastery of standard dialects. The baseline linguistic divide in Bangladesh maps directly onto this model. The high norm, or sadhu vasha, operates as the exclusive domain of the educated ruling class. The low norm, chalid vasha, is a dialect relegated to the working, uneducated, or unsophisticated class. Mastering the high norm is an intentional act of hoarding the linguistic capital required to maintain strict class dominance. The Bengali second-person pronoun system acts as the linguistic ledger of the society. The top tier is apni. Apni denotes superiority, age, or institutional power, and triggers the formal verb form kaben. The center tier is tumi. Tumi denotes parity or familiar distance, triggering the mid-level verb form kabe. The bottom tier is tu. This is the linguistic extreme, triggering the base verb form kabi. Misusing these tiers carries a penalty. A subordinate using tu upward causes immediate severe social friction. Microscopic changes, altering a single pronoun or verb ending, instantly define a speaker's power, wealth, and societal worth in the exact moment of speech. The low norm pronoun, tu in Bengali or tu in Hindi, holds a sociological paradox. This chart shows the data on reasons for using the low norm. The usage bifurcates entirely between weaponized dominance and ultimate intimacy. Look at this brief excerpt of Hindi lyrics from the 1976 movie Kabhi Kabhi. Tu upse pele sitarome. Tu in this context acts as the expression of profound romantic intimacy. The speaker intentionally strips away artificial high norm boundaries. The low norm is exclusively reserved for the absolute top and absolute bottom of the social proximity scale. We can observe the directional flow of power through real-world case studies, starting with the dynamic between a school headmaster and a watchman. The headmaster uses the low norm downward to assert dominance. Contrast this with the dynamic between a rickshaw puller and a passenger. The rickshaw puller must speak the high norm upward to the passenger to feign a superimposed treatment and avoid being rebuffed. Downward high norm usage is viewed as benevolence, while upward low norm usage is a systemic violation of the social order. The asymmetry is the point. This chart tracks empirical survey findings on how language defines social position in Bangladesh. There is a heavy skew of participants explicitly agreeing that language form dictates social rank. Additional data confirms strangers use visual appearances to decide whether to deploy high or low diglossia. The population actively and consciously utilizes diglossia to assess a stranger's objective inequality. This empirical data grounds Bourdieu's ultimate conclusion about societal masking. When a society frames the high norm as inherently polite and the low norm as inherently crude, they are executing a sleight of hand. They are actually masking raw economic inequality as a simple matter of manners, decorum, and education. This linguistic gatekeeping ensures the elite retain their status without ever needing to use overt force or violence. Diglossia ensures that every spoken sentence acts as an active negotiation, enforcement, or submission to the distribution of power.